Also, part of my role as National Guard soldier means I know that anything what first are available to you in Army National Guard.
guy that's a little unorthodox, a guy that doesn't have the most fluid running motion, a guy that doesn't seem to jump, yet he still winds up getting, winning more rebounding fights than he loses. He's a guy that makes shots that you just don't think he's going to make. He's just that guy. He's the one that somehow, some way, even though it doesn't look fluid and just like, beautiful athleticism, he just does it, and he does it pretty damn well. So I could see him possibly getting a shot in the NBA.
I'm wondering about the career of C.J. Wilcher if he develops. I think he could be a spot. I mean, he's a very good shooter. He was the best 3-point shooter last year for this team. If he continues to progress, he doesn't have great athleticism. You're hearing that he lost some weight, which is great. But C.J. Wilcher is a guy that maybe down the road is draftable. I don't see a guy yet, but then I didn't see Delano Banton. I didn't see necessarily Roby being guys that were going to be drafted. I thought athletically, Roby was a guy, and certainly Bryce was a guy athletically that could make it in the NBA. But it'll be interesting to see where Nebraska goes from here.
Yeah, I agree. And C.J. Wilcher as well is one that I really think has the potential to turn into a player that NBA teams are going to be like, you know what? That's a guy we may need to put on a roster somewhere.
Hey, we are starting a new podcast. It's already started. Mike Melby has an interview out with Rick Swigert, the voice of NASCAR
on NBC,
and really talented guy. This is something that we're all passionate about. Dave Sanderson is our partner, Mike Melby, and I. We're going to be doing interviews with cool Nebraskans. Nebraskans are great people with great stories, but they don't always share them. I mean, I think that one of the qualities of Nebraskans, which I like, is that they tend to be modest. But it also means that sometimes you don't get the really cool stories that you get from other people who are more willing to share their stories. Not that they aren't willing to share. Once they start talking about their kids or their business or their success, you realize they're opening up, and they'll tell those stories, and they're going to tell those stories to us. And they're available basically wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Google, Amazon, Spotify, Stitcher. They're out there, and we'd love it if you could check them out.
Yeah, it's called Nebraska Gems. We'll have the website up here in a couple of weeks. You can listen to the episodes there as well. But yeah, we've got a couple of great interviews already done. The Rick Schwieger interview, we kind of talked beforehand and both agreed, we tried to get it right at about 40, 45 minutes. And we were 40, 45 minutes in, and Rick was still talking, and I still had a whole lot of questions, and we just let it roll. And it turned out to be about an hour and 11 minutes. So I turned it into a 2-part episode. It's extremely great storytelling by Rick. And you learn a little bit about NASCAR and how he got into it, but it's more about him and his background. And he's a fascinating man.
Right.
And if you get a chance,
great stories, really good stuff. Nebraska Gems, NebraskaGems.com will be on the way shortly.
Yep.
But check out the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Rick Schwieger, the latest. I want to talk about Nebraska volleyball because you mentioned it. The recruiting classes that they're putting together year after year after year are really kind of insane. They picked up the number 1 player in the country earlier this week in Skylar Pierce, and they become really a recruiting machine under John Cook.
Juggernaut.
How are they doing it? Because this hasn't always been the case with John Cook. You think it's the transformation from the Coliseum back in the day to the Devaney Center, and now you put Husker volleyball on the biggest stage, and I think it's is it number 1 or number 2 as far as attendance in the entire country? I think it might be number 1 in attendance. Nobody draws 8,000 people for volleyball, but Nebraska does it, and they're always in the Final Four. Now they get Skylar Pierce, but it makes me wonder, how are they doing it? Because they haven't always done it under John Cook.
Well, and I think a lot of it has to do specifically with John Cook's ability to understand what he can do better, what his staff can do better, and how the program can become better. When Russ Rose was winning 5 national titles in a row at Penn State, John Cook said, you know what? We can do that. Yeah. And he changed the way they went about things within the program. Yeah. And John Cook I don't want to say he's reinvented himself, because he's always stayed true to who he is. He simply allowed himself at every opportunity to become a better coach, to become a smarter person. As we get old, we figure out how to work smart and not, hard.
Right.
And so it just makes more sense. And John is a guy that you just see him learning more and more and more every single year. And he has figured out the recruiting game. And the other thing that you hear from all of the recruits, well, when I was on my visit, hanging out and talking to Coach Cook was amazing. And Coach Reyes or
Right.
anybody that was here, or Coach Hildebrand, or
Jalen Reyes is a great recruiter,
yeah.
by the way. He is a great recruiter.
But all the recruits, they mentioned the same thing. Well, when I was there, I was on my visitor. I was at the camp. I was hanging out with the players, and it is literally the epitome of a family.
Remember,
and they have fun.
right. I remember back in the day, Tom Osborne, when they were winning national championships during the 60-3 run, recruits would come to Lincoln and they go, I'm not good enough to play for you. And there are some players that have said the same thing to John Cook. I don't think I'm good enough to play for you. I'm not sure I can handle the pressure of 8,000 people screaming my name day in and day out and knowing who I am. Not every player likes that.
Yeah.
Not every player, even with great players, is made for that. But Nebraska wants those players that really want that. In that 2023 class, the Huskers have landed, they're not even on campus yet, 3 of the top 4 players in the country. Harper Murray is the number 1 player, according to volleyball.com. But I remember back that 2021 class, Allie Batenhorst was ranked 3rd, Lindsey Krause 2nd, Whitney Lonstein, who I think has incredible potential, 16th. You had Kendi Orr, the number 1 setter in the entire country. You had Lexi Rodriguez, who might be better than all of them, who wasn't as heralded. It's ridiculous. Hayden Kubik is coming. I mean, it's ridiculous, the names they're putting on the floor. And what it means also is some are going to leave and go to the transfer portal. Big deal. That happens at Alabama. They are the Alabama of college volleyball recruiting.
And we were talking about this right before we came on the air. Or didn't come on the air specifically right at 6:00. Anyway,
it happens.
Yeah, it's live radio. No, but the proof with Alabama has translated to the field with the great recruiting classes that they've had year after year after year, and they're winning national titles or they are in the matches. And John Cook has got Nebraska right on that precipice of they've won titles. They're in the Final Four, they're in the championship match, and with the recruiting that he has done and just the way that entire staff's put together, it just feels like we're sitting there getting ready to watch a 60-3 type of run come from Nebraska volleyball.
It's not like they haven't been successful already.
But that's the thing, is they've already been successful. They've already won some national titles recently, but it almost feels like this is about to the last domino to tip over the giant bucket of water that's going to just be.
It feels like something magical is about to happen.
It really does.
Not that it hasn't been magical already. I think if you were to talk to John Cook and he were honest, they were 1 year ahead of schedule getting to the Final Four. I don't think that they really thought that was going to happen. I mean, even though you did have, Lexi Sun who came back and Lauren Stivers who came back, you had talent, but they didn't have Wisconsin talent. I mean, you could see with Wisconsin, with all the holdovers that they had because of COVID, they had girls that have been there 15 years or whatever it was, that you weren't going to beat Wisconsin in the national title game, and yet they almost did.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I'm really excited for Husker volleyball. I've always been all in. Now I'm even more all in. I've just wondered, how do you put all of that talent on the floor? Cook will find a way. We got to get to break, and I do want to talk a little golf. I also want to talk about Nebraska football picking up Maverick Noonan, a legacy recruit. We've still got a lot more to cover and very little time to do it.
Yep. We'll get it done.
We'll do it. It's the Husker Sunday Rewind.
3rd and 25. Quarterback takes the snap. He rolls out to the right.
After the game, come on into Sirloin World for our Saturday specials.
It's more fun to watch Nebraska football in person. And for a chance at great seats, enter the Nebraska Lottery's Lucky for Life ticket snap. Through July 26th, buy a Lucky for Life ticket and enter the voucher number for a chance to win Nebraska football Skybox season tickets and more. And don't worry, Sirloin World will still be there when the game's over. Lucky for Life top prize odds 1 in 30 million.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it's been a great start here to the year as 2022 new inventory continues to roll in. Our pre-owned lot remains full, and we are selling at a record pace. I was just down at Koppel talking about a new order for myself, and they let me know I can actually start ordering a 2023 here later this spring. So stop on in to get your new 2022, your pre-owned vehicle, or maybe talk about ordering here for 2023. Check them out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did.
And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for and there they go. Almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double arm kid carry. Looks like dad has the bags. Daughter